Let's freaking go. The season is here. Depending on when you're listening to this, there will be football played at the end of the season, or at the end of the season, at the end of the week. I'm super excited about this, Andy, because I am tired of these training camp videos. And even though it is just the preseason, we're starting to see the card market heat up. Now, a little bit later, apparently, one of our Discords, Andy, fleeced you on a deal. So we're going to see if one of our diehard listeners actually did that. I have no idea what the details of that. And we're going to get everyone to give your thoughts in the comment section who actually got the better end of the deal. Also, a little bit later, I have found the most aesthetically pleasing card in the modern era. Andy, I think you agree with me, right? Don't you?
Oh, I do, man. It's gorgeous.
You and I don't agree on a lot when it comes to modern cards, but we will agree on this. I guarantee it. You don't want to miss it. But Andy, right off the jump here, the National came and went. Neither one of us went. A lot of our patrons, though, did. Your thoughts on football cards before and after the National? Because it seems like it was a pretty hot commodity this year in Atlantic City.
Yeah, the market saw appreciation, specifically talking about eBay. There was a buy it now increase, daily buy it now volume increase throughout last week. And I think that was directly due to training camp. You know, we've been starved for football action for several months now. We're starting to get a glimpse of what rookies are looking like. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've watched these Treylon Burks highlights from training camp. So that's just a prime example. But we're getting the first look at a lot of, every team in the NFL, what they're starting to look like. And it's tantalizing, man. And as a result, I've seen an increase in buy it now transactions. I've seen some people reaching for some certain players that are getting hype. We saw a massive increase in Julio Jones last week. We're seeing an increase in Deshaun Watson this week from the suspension news being announced yesterday morning. So it is very, very hot. It's heating up every week right now.
Yeah, and just based on the million of vlogs and me crying because you and I didn't go this year, it did seem like football cards were really hot. Like people really wanted a piece of every single quarterback in this 2021 class, and that, the typical Burrow, Herbert, Allens were moving, and there was a big complaint that everything was just overpriced. I totally get that. But, it goes to show that football cards are an actual thing. And I understand, Andy, for a lot of people viewed, these last couple of months in the hobby as, a downturn because of the recession and all of that. But it seems as if the overall football card market, especially for quarterbacks, is pretty strong right now.
Yeah, it is pretty strong. We haven't seen, like, even looking at the base Prism charts, for example, the 2020 quarterbacks. If I were to look at a Prism PSA 10 chart right here on the screen, if you're watching on YouTube, we have not seen really a dip. And this is going all the way back to April 11th, before the draft, when we were in a really nice hype cycle for a lot of guys heading into the draft. And you can see here, comparing all, like, I added Jordan Love into this just for kicks and giggles, but you can see, even comparing the top 4 2020 relevant guys, these are cards that have been submitted thousands of times to PSA. You can see here the pop counts there. For Herbert, for example, has a 4,003 PSA 10 pop count on his base Prism. Burrow has a 4,566 pop count, whereas Hurts has a 1,400 pop count, and Tua has a 2,400 pop count. And Tua and Hurts are neck and neck there. Their PSA 10s are going for about 112. The Hurts is going for about 100. The Burrow is going for about 270, and the Herbert's going for about 354. Herbert is clearly getting more hype right now than Burrow heading into camp. I think that has something to do with the appendicitis and that kind of news, that he's just not out there playing, not getting the highlights, whereas Herbert is. But you can see there's not been a tremendous dip or a fall off, even on some of these base cards. When you have the nice condition, we're also talking quarterbacks here, which drive the market. There's not been a big fall off. Where you probably have seen a fall off is like base cards of skill position players And you got to think about it. There's 54 different sets manufactured for any player that was drafted in the first 3 rounds of the last couple of years, Carter. So there's a ton of variety. There's thousands of different cards. And when you talk about skill position players, there's a smaller percentage of the hobby that actually collect and invest these guys. So now all of a sudden you kind of have to narrow your focus and look for stuff that has more scarcity, the serial numbered, color match, the autograph stuff that has a little bit more scarcity to it than just a base card. Whereas, base cards for quarterbacks can still be relevant, especially like we were talking about Prism, Optic, Select, those kind of sets, because they have so many people that are gravitating towards them.
Keep in mind that you may not, I know I can't, but there's a lot of people out there listening that can't afford these sealed, flawless cards, the fancy cards that you see on the vlogs and all of that. Guess what? You could still be a profitable card flipper, investor, all those different things without getting those super high-end cards, right? There's a lot of room still on skill position guys, even though there is more risk and reward with quarterbacks. So that's always going to be the case, it seems. But a little bit later for my play of the week, I do have some very interesting thoughts on that. Now, for me, Andy, obviously, big news. Prism has remained hot, but Optic and Select around the corner, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, Optic, very fresh. It's actually just starting to leak out in certain regions and retail stores. I think that's one tip, is to look at who has sold blaster boxes of Optic on eBay. Look at where they're located at, like where it's being shipped from. That'll give you an idea of how it's getting pumped out. The main Panini distribution center factory is in Texas. So I think it kind of branches out from there. So it may take a little bit longer to reach you if you're in, maybe the Oregon or, up in Massachusetts or something like that. So that's something interesting to look at. But right now, those blaster boxes of Optic, the limited ones that are out there, are selling for like $75, $80, whereas the Prism blaster boxes are now selling for $50. I think that's just the initial hype around the brand new product. It's so limited. It's still kind of working its way out. I have not seen a ton of Optic. I'll tell you one insert I absolutely love, Carter, is that Rookie Kings. The Rookie Kings of like the player sitting on a throne, like a Game of Thrones throne type of thing. Those cards are awesome.
Wait, where did Justin Herbert go to college again?
Oregon. Or is
What?
it Oregon?
Oregon. I'm infatuated by this. Why do you say Oregon? I've never.
I don't know, man. I grew up as a kid playing the Oregon Trail. That's how I say it.
I feel like I just got dysentery listening to you say Oregon.
Well, I guess there's no E at the very end, so it is Oregon.
Oregon? That is insane to me. That is insane. That is the most beautiful thing that's ever happened on the show. I can't be the only person that's listening to this. That I was like, wait, where is that? I love it, man. It's one of your many Andyisms. Oregon. There you go. I love it. But anyway, what I'm going to start calling him Justine Herbert, just to give an Oregon type of pronunciation. Everyone's gonna be like, wait, who's Justine? Where is she? But no, I love that. Are there other word pronunciations that you do differently?
It's quite possibly, sometimes I have a pretty thick Southern country accent. I try to make sure to articulate my words clearly when we're here on the podcast, but you never know when it comes out. Like when I go up to my dad's farm, and he's got a farm and a piece of land up in North Florida where it's very remote and rural, and his brother, my uncle, and everything's up there, and some other friends and family. They all have very thick country accents. So I'm around them for a few days. I come back and I start saying a lot of y'alls and ain'ts.
Yeah,
and, drinking sweet tea every day.
And wherever that farm is, it had better internet connectivity than in Atlantic City this past weekend. So that was like the number one thing everybody was complaining about. No Wi-Fi. But But yeah, I love that, Andy. For me, I'm really excited about Select. I've always been a big Select fan. Um, there are like diehard hobbyists, Andy, that believe once Select did hit retail, it kind of knocked some of the luster off that set. How do you feel about that? I'm interested.
Oh, it's 100% accurate. I feel that the previous years of Select maintained a really nice value. It was also considered pretty scarce. It had a very high quality. If you look at 2013 Select, which is the first year that the modern day Panini Select was manufactured, those cards have a very high gem rate. They're very nice out of the pack, out of the box. They don't have a lot of centering, surface, corner, or edge issues. I can tell you I've submitted a few of the Hot Rookies inserts from 2013 Select. Every single one of them have come back 10s. So they have a high gem rate in it. And so like historically, Select has been a very nice hobby-only product, nice quality. But when they added an extra tier and put it into retail, that totally tarnished the brand, in my opinion. I think a lot of hobbyists were I hate to use a word as extreme as boycott, but it almost seemed like a lot of like hardcore hobbyists were really unhappy about that. And, and as a result, I think that Select brand did get tarnished quite a bit when they took it mainstream retail and added a ton of inserts, parallels, and an additional print run tier in there with the club level.
And first year Select was 2013, correct?
Correct. Yeah, they printed it. Select was around in the late 90s. You can go and look at Select was around in the late 90s, but it was under a different manufacturer at the time. I can't remember exactly which one of the major guys manufactured at the time, if it was like Leaf or Donruss or Tops, but Select was around in the late 90s, and then it went away for quite a while, and then Panini brought it back in 2013.
I agree. I'm fine with not everything hitting retail shelves, and I'm a retail only guy. I check the local Walmarts as much as I can. I do agree with that though. Like 2013, of course, that's a year that I collect a lot of players in because Tyrann Matthew is my main PC. But it is interesting, right? That once the product became readily available for everyone, it did change people's opinions of it. Now, this is where it gets really fascinating, okay, Andy, is like for me, that sounds elitist. It really does. But it's not. Because in fact, it's probably the opposite, because if you're smart, you're only buying singles anyway. Like, even though I think, once again, coming up, 2021 sealed Prism is a play, the reason why it's a play is for you to not open it, right? And for me, I found a box of Chronicles recently, and actually I found two of them, and I opened two of them, but when I purchased them, it was $60 total for both of them, or 65, something like that, after tax or whatever. Once again, very happy to find it. It's always smart, more often than not, to buy at least some retail wax when you see it. But I opened a box and there was nothing in it. Mm-hmm. And I just think it's a singles game now. It just is, right? Now, if you're opening a hobby box and you do pull the 1 of 1, obviously you hit the lottery. Okay. You hit a, 1 of 1 Mac Jones, it's $100,000 card, right? But for me, Andy, it's hard for me to justify just buying a ton of wax and just opening it, especially if it's a retail product, because that means that box is on hundreds of thousands of retail shelves, hundreds of thousands of card stores, and just stores in general. And there's hundreds of thousands of them on eBay, right? Because everybody can go and grab it. So while that does sound, and some people will take that as like elitist, hey, Select, it's good, it's on the retail shelves now that everyone could walk up and go get it. it actually devalued the product. It really did. So I fully agree with you there. For me, Andy, as far as like before we get into plays of the week and all of that and this trade showdown here, is there anything else that is really like taken over your mind over this past week as we move closer to the season?
Well, I mean, the big thing to me was the fact that there is literally, I would say, about 15,000 football card auctions ending on Mondays. Just it's like 3 or 4 times higher than any other day of the week. And
Mondays.
historically, I think we've thought that Sundays and the weekend would be a best time to end auctions, but there's some big auctioneers, and then I went and like literally I exhausted eBay's page results. It made me refine my search, and I still was on Monday auctions. Like literally, it's just I mean tons and tons of. I mean, I stopped counting at like 12,000. So I'm guessing there was probably, 15,000 plus football card auction. A lot of it was ultra modern stuff ending on Monday night compared to any other night of the week.
Unreal. That's unreal to me. I don't.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what to make of it yet. I have polled the community in a video yesterday and getting some interesting comments back that people do prefer to buy on Monday. There's also some people that prefer to list on Monday as well. And I can tell you that our viewership on the channel, right, is typically higher on Monday and Tuesday than any other day of the week. So it's interesting to see if that shifts once the football season kicks off. But right now, I mean, it's Monday is the day to really kind of find your deals because there's so many auctions going. There's a lot of stuff just getting going under the radar and not being discovered by people and going undervalued, man.
So if you want to take part in our poll, if you want to be a part of the community chat, patreon.com/football cards is where you can find us. You can chat with me personally. You can chat with Andy personally. I've happily chatted with plenty of our viewers one-on-one, and it's been fantastic. Now, before we get into plays of the week, we get to the trade here, Andy. I want to see I have no idea, and I'm going to give you my honest reaction. So one of our viewers, Ross, decided to agree to a trade. So first thing, was this a straight up trade?
Yeah, straight up trade. Cards for cards.
All right, let's see it.
All right, so this is what I sent him. Let me see, open image, and let's see if I can blow it up a little bit. All right, so here's what I sent him: a Ryan Fitzpatrick 2005 Bowman Chrome autograph, a 2020 short print, the short print photo variation, KJ Hamler rookie ticket auto, an optic Dak Prescott base, and an optic AJ Brown rated rookie base. Those are all rookie cards, and those two optics, the AJ Brown, the Dak, were both base. That's what I sent him, and this is what I got in return. Now, keep in mind, I have stopped investing in this guy right here since last year, but I could not resist this card because of the big Go Buccaneers on it. This is a Keyshawn Vaughn Leaf Trinity autograph card.
Okay.
With the Go Buccaneers hand inscribed. I'm not, I'm a big Rachaad White guy, so I'm kind of off on Keyshawn lately, but you know what? I thought that was really cool. Now, this one was, this is a short print, pink prism, optic rated rookie Mitchell Trubisky.
Okay.
Rookie ticket auto, Allen Robinson.
Okay. You've made money on A-Rob before.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I plan to do it again this year, especially with the Rams. Base prism, Deebo Samuel, which I probably get this listed right away since I just got the mega contract extension with the Niners. So that's a nice little. And look, I'm okay with base prism from 2019. This is very liquid because he is a very demanded player, and 2019 is before they really started their mass. Really when they ramped up their production efforts. And then a 2020 Black Prism Silver Jerry Jeudy.
Okay.
Has really good centering on that as well. And then I got him to throw in some base cards of Travis Etienne, one base Mosaic NFL debut, and a couple base absolutes, and a couple base scores. Nothing too special there. I just I requested that he throw those in for me. And yeah, so that was the deal. Honestly, I'd love to hear your opinion on it. I think he probably won that deal, but or that trade. But let's
so in the comment section, type R for Ross, type A for Andy. Once again, type R for Ross, type A for Andy. Yeah, he got you. I mean, goodness gracious. So first thing I'll say is Ross is a very sharp guy. All right, so let's break it down again. You're looking at this if you're watching on YouTube. Ryan Fitzpatrick, not a rookie ticket auto, but a Bowman Crone rookie card auto. KJ Hamler, rookie ticket auto. Dak base optic, and AJ Brown. And yours was Keyshawn Vaughn, inscripted leaf auto. Okay. Mitchell Trubisky, pink rated rookie. Okay. Could see a spike if he plays well. Jerry Jeudy, silver. Okay. Black silver. All right. Allen. Okay. Forgot about the A-Rob. Okay. That makes you feel a little bit better. And Deebo Samuel. No, it's more even. You got more pieces out of this deal. Nobody just flat out won this deal. I don't know what the one I'm interested in is what Dak's optics are going for now.
They're undervalued, and that was the thing. We comped it out while we were on the Zoom call, and Dax, they definitely have room to grow, because you can look at his current optic from 2016. It's like a $30 card. It's not bad at all. So yeah, raw. This was actually the card as well that I cracked out of the CSG slab that gave me so many fits in the video. So you can see the Dak, if we go to sold items here on his 2016 optic. Yeah, it's actually, in fact, you can find some deals where it's going $19.99. I feel that's incredibly, yeah. Okay, so it's actually $20 card right now.
Right, and Mahomes optic, I know different year, but Mahomes optic for 2017 is probably a $100 card, right? Probably $150.
Oh, man, Mahomes optic now. Mahomes base rated rookie has finally come down to about $100, but Mahomes optic is still several $100 card. If I were to actually look at, let's see if we can find a raw one. That's a hollow for $670. There you go. There's a raw one that just sold yesterday for $225.
So Dak will never be Mahomes good, but man,
no.
that's a good deal for Ross for Mahomes. Yeah, Ross.
You mean for Dak? Yeah, for Dak, the Fitzpatrick had some sentimental value to me, but with him being retired and everything, I've actually held that card now for a year as well. And so I was like, man, this is going to a good home. So it was like, it was, I'm not going to lie, with that being my first big trade since I was a kid, it was a little painful, like letting those cards go. Because it's just like when you pull a card out, even though if you haven't looked at it in a while, you're like, oh man, but I love this card, and just brings back a lot of memories for me. And big fan of Ryan Fitzpatrick over the years. So, and he's fearless. So, that like letting go of those kind of cards are a little difficult, but I was at the same time, like it's interesting because I do have some speculative cards that I picked up and some cards that I feel very good about, like the Allen Robinson rookie ticket auto and the Deebo. Yeah. And this was a really just a cool PC item that's, it's going to be really rare as well. So, nothing too crazy, but there's always, I think, you just don't want to let them go. It's almost like a hoarding type of mentality. I felt that I was like, I don't want to let these go. But at the same time, it was, copacetic.
Now it's time for Hobby Tip of the Week. And for me, Andy, it's don't overthink things, right? Like if you think too much on it, the hobby will stress you out, right? Like for instance, let's just say an hour after this podcast is over, you're stressing because you feel like Ross fleeced you on a deal or whatever. He didn't. It's not that gap between the two of you isn't just ridiculous in that deal. I do like Ross's end a little bit better, but you don't stress over too much in this hobby. You're going to lose some, you're going to win some. Just be consistent. Don't let anything get you down. Obviously, it's a little bit more macro compared to a more like instead of like a minor thing, but it's just an overall mindset. You don't want to wear yourself out.
Yeah, great hobby tip. Yeah, I definitely don't wear yourself out because at the end of the day, I mean, it's good, man. Even if he won a little bit, he got some nice upside on the cards he got. It's a good thing to leave people like we talked about. Leave the buyer or the person on the other end with the feeling they have growth in the cards, and you're kind of paying it forward. And when everybody kind of does that, I think it makes the hobby a better place, and long term, the hobby is going to benefit more from it. It's going to be around longer. There's going to be more happy people in the hobby, right?
Right.
So my hobby tip is kind of twofold. I want to give you guys a player that I would sell right now because, and you talked about comparing Dak's prices to Patrick Mahomes in 2017, but if you were to actually compare Dak's prices to Derrick Henry's prices from the same draft class, your mind would be kind of blown because Dak is a quarterback on the largest market team in the NFL, a team that won their division last year and could easily, I wouldn't say easily because the Eagles are a much better squad this year. So, but it's potential. It's in their range of outcomes. They could win it this year as well. They have a good enough roster to absolutely make the playoffs. There are going to be a lot of shootout games playing the Bucs week 1 Sunday night. Dak's going to throw the ball a lot. Dak could throw the ball over 5,000 yards. Derrick Henry suffered the first major injury of his career last year with the foot, and he's over that 1,500 carry threshold where we've historically seen running back performances fall off, and his cards are just as expensive as Dak Prescott's. And I pulled up several charts. This chart we're looking at right here is the base Donruss PSA 10 because I want to get the one that has the most amount of transactions. Even though Dak's got a population of 1,400 on this card and Derrick Henry's got a population of just over 500, the Derrick Henry card is going for just as much as the Dak Prescott virtually. And I've seen this with Prism as well. I mean, if you have a base Prism Derrick Henry card, you can get about $100 for it raw right now, Carter. And I just think I would sell that. I would sell that heading into the season.
Yeah, and once again, it gets into the 2016, 2017 thing about those being silvers, the base being silvers. So that's probably part of why that's as much as it is. But man, that is pretty insane. The quarterback running back dynamic there. And yes, the pop counts are way different. But for me, man, as far as like King Henry is concerned, man, it just seems like it's a little, to use a fantasy term, it's just a little bit of a dead zone in the hobby with him, right? Is he ever really going to win anything with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback? Probably not. How many more good years does he have left? I don't know. He's a freak, right? There's been hundreds of times where people have said, this is going to be the Derrick Henry fall off year. It's kind of like the same thing with Tim Duncan towards the end of his career. When is it actually going to stop? And Derrick Henry had a heavy carry work share at Alabama towards the end of his career. He had a heavy carry workload in high school. And now even in the NFL, he's had that, and he just continues to produce. But you saw it last year, being banged up and all of that. Totally agree with you, man. Move it while you still can. That's kind of a play, though. I like that, though. Mixing a play and a hobby tip of the week in there.
Yeah. So if you're going to sell it, my second part of that is we talked about earlier how there's just a tremendous amount of auctions ending on Monday. Don't end your auction on Monday because it could get lost in this sea of auctions ending Monday. I really think that the best time to end them now is Thursday night. We have a Hall of Fame game coming up this week, Thursday night. the Jags at the Raiders. People are going to be watching that. We're desperate, especially as diehards are desperate for some football on TV. And but every Thursday night from here on out, there's going to be some type of football activity. It's going to be preseason till the beginning of September. Then you got the Bills to the Rams, the first Thursday night game. There's going to be Thursday night football every week after that. So as of right now, I think the best time to end auctions is on Thursday night. So end your auction, your Derrick Henry auction on Thursday night.
Now it's time for play of the week. Really excited about this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tease my play of the week in the outtakes coming up because it's actually a wax product. So we will talk about that in just a second. But I will give you, to me, play of the week. Andy, I'm ready for you to pull it up. The most aesthetically pleasing card I've ever seen. And I know I am super biased, but there it is.
It's gorgeous, man. Zebra print, field level select, Jamar Chase rookie card. This also looks like it's got a wave texture design to it. This is going to be a case hit. So you're going to pull one of these on average out of every 12 hobby boxes of select.
I don't care that it's not numbered. I don't care that there's no, it might be numbered. I don't know. It could be different this year. That's the coolest card I've ever seen. It really is. Like, if you take out like a lot of stuff that makes cards cool, which is like a really nasty patch or a really nice auto, if you just take all of that out, just a card that's just printed, the fact that they chose the Bengals white uniforms to go along with the zebra stripes, the way that the pants and the waves of the card and the waves on the actual specific design of the card makes this card look three-dimensional. It is really, really nice. And that's the beauty of it. You see Joe and Jamar right there. Gotta love it. Man, that is, Jamar just has the coolest cards. He just has that star receiver aesthetic, the single-digit number, the swag, all of it, man. And the fact that he's a freak of nature. Man, my play of the week for myself is find a way to get that card. They're going to be expensive. I doubt wherever you do get it, I doubt you will get it for less than $1,000. It really is that cool of a card. So yeah, my play of the week will be in the outtakes. So Andy, your hobby play of the week is?
So my hobby play of the week is looking at guys that are ascending in training camp that you can still get their rookie product at dirt cheap. Like we've seen an appreciation quite a bit in the values of Julio Jones. That was because of the signing. But guys like Paris Campbell emerging as a clear number 2 for the Colts. We've seen a big demand spike for his rookie cards heading into this week over the course of the end of last week and now this week. A guy I want to look at in the Hall of Fame game this Thursday night is Zay Jones. We have reports this morning. Doug Peterson says Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne are not going to play in the Hall of Fame game, but Zay Jones is going to be part of the first team offense. He's going to be out there. They did pay him a pretty big contract, Carter. This guy has a very solid athletic profile. We're talking about an early second-round draft pick from 2017. He's 6'2", 201, runs a 4.45. So with that size and speed, he can absolutely play as an X receiver. And it looks like right now in training camp that he's going to be their wide receiver 1 on the outside, their X-style receiver. They're going to put Christian Kirk in the slot, Travis Etienne in the backfield, and Marvin Jones on the other side in 3 wide receiver sets. That's what it would look like. And I think Zay Jones is still young enough. He's still explosive enough, and he's paid a handsome amount of money from the Jags to play this role. And Trevor Lawrence, if he does take that next step this year with the Jags, they're playing the Commanders in week 1. That's a juicy matchup for Trevor to go out and ball out and just do a total 180 transformation, which is absolutely possible heading into the second year. Zay Jones could come out week 1, with 110 yards, 2 touchdowns, and people are getting really excited with a win, So, and I'm looking at his rookie ticket autos right now, like $10. That's the range of super deep, nobodies. And I think this guy it's just being really undervalued in the market.
Like I tagged you in that tweet with the Adam Koffler fantasy guy who's also in the cards. I was sitting watching a Zay Jones rookie ticket auto go for 99 cents just a few months ago. And I said, nah, not going to deal with it. And now I'm regretting it really, really, really bad because it's kind of the Laviska Shenault thing. I made a lot of money on the Laviska Shenault cards, searching dollar boxes when I could and just picking his rookies up for $1. His rookie ticket, that rookie ticket auto right there. And it was actually a silver rookie ticket auto, 99 cents. And I was like, this is just too obvious, but I just didn't do it because I was lazy. Man, I wish I would have jumped on that, but there's still room right now. And what's really interesting about Zay Jones is, I don't know if you've seen this, Andy. He has this viral thing that he does where he pops up off the ground. Have you ever seen this?
Oh, no, he does one of those karate like jump ups where he like pops off of the ground.
No. So ironically, Jamar has a very iconic. So Jamar Chase's biggest game was a national championship game versus Clemson. There was one play where he did fall down and just in the middle of the field, but nobody around him, he just jumped right back up like how you're saying it. But when Zay Jones falls on his, like when he's getting himself off the ground, he can do it without his hands. He just lifts himself. It looks CGI. It is very, very, very strange that he is that freak of an athlete. It's very weird, but yeah, I like that Zay Jones play. I know that was like a little weird ramble or whatever.
Yeah, you can see his cards being purchased, but they're currently being purchased at super low, like $7.50, $10 for autograph cards. It's not going to take much for these to go up to 10 to 20. If you get in at 10, it's not going to take much for them to go to 20, 30, 40 in a short fashion. That's what we've seen with Paris Campbell over the course of the past 4 or 5 days.
There you go. I like that. Zay Jones, play of the week. I love it. Absolutely love it. So yeah, that's a decent one. No QBs though this week.
No, and I'm looking for like a short, immediate flip opportunity because it was at this point last year, Carter, where we were starting to see Marquez Callaway shine in training camp with Jameis, and then Jameis went out and threw 3 touchdowns to Marquez Callaway in a preseason game, and his rookie ticket autos went to close to $100. And so I absolutely see that happening with certain guys around the league, and he's one guy that I'm tracking right now that I'm looking at as a potential fire to start in Jacksonville. And that week 1 matchup, I like. I mean, I still think Carson Wentz is going to make plenty of mistakes. That Jacksonville defense is going to put a lot of pressure on them with Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker. And it's Carson Wentz is, I think, going to make some mistakes, and this is going to lead to, I think Jacksonville's going to have a great game, man.
I think they won week 1 last year as well, or was that 2 years ago? I don't remember, but still, I love it. And Andy, another fun episode in the books. So, did you have any other plays? Anything else or was it just they?
I do, but I'm going to save it because Steve and I are actually shifting our live stream to Tuesday nights now, moving forward. And so we'll be live tonight, and it's going to be like a live eBay auction sniper video where we pick our favorite buy low investment target from each division and then dig into their eBay auctions. So I'm going to save the rest of the plays. You guys will have to tune into that.
There you go. Check it out. Subscribe to the Fantasy Football Card Quest. But once again, let's make this podcast the absolute best. 5-star reviews, all that good stuff. It's very interesting, Andy. I was talking about Ross a minute ago and just a few other our patrons. I did make a decent basketball purchase not too long ago. And a big reason why is because of, football cards is kind of the thing now. So if football cards becomes a thing, you start looking for, other things. Lately, I haven't felt like there have been a whole lot of football deals that I felt comfortable with. So still, I'm not a basketball card guy. I bought a Zion card. I'm a Pelicans fan. So it is interesting, though, how, when one thing zigs, you zag or whatever. I will say this before we leave, and I'm going to say this in every episode, and I meant to say this for Hobby Tip of the Week. Get off your butt, list your cards now. I'm kind of saying that to myself, right? List them. This is your biggest hype window right now. Okay. Outside of the Super Bowl, where there's only going to be 2 teams, or going into the draft, which of course was just months ago, get off your butt, list your cards now, buy it now format. If you don't get what you want and you just absolutely want to liquidate the card, so you can get what you can get on a buy it now format. If you just want to make sure you can sell it, take down the buy it now and just do a 99-cent auction in the week leading up to the year. You still have time to do this. And Andy, I know this is something you recommend as well. You're always a buy it now or auction guy, but if you absolutely wanted to liquidate your cards, you got a wedding coming up, you got a vacation you want to pay for, 99-cent that thing, and the market will decide and you will get paid. But just do that, and I promise you, you're going to thank yourself later for just actually doing it. Because once again, there's a lot of people watching this, Andy, that are going to say, well, the season doesn't actually start until a few weeks from now. So I can wait a week, or I could wait 2 weeks to actually list my cards. Do it right now. I'm looking at you, okay? Wherever you might be watching or listening to this, imagine if you are listening to this, I'm standing right beside you right now. Do it. Do it right now. So that's all I got to say, Andy.
Yep. Don't wait, man. The market is very sensitive, guys. I'm watching it every day. It's very sensitive, very reactive to the big plays in training camp. And you never know when somebody's going to go on and got to have something right then. And if your card's not listed, they can't buy it. So get it up there, man. It's a painful process to list cards, but to get that sale does feel good. And you get that sale and you're like, all right,
I'm already getting some decent traction on some cards I've listed, and I'm glad I listed them when I did. So I'll put it at that. Andy, it's another fun episode, and until next week, peace.
Peace. What's up, man?
I see you watching training camp videos. I see you.
No, you caught me. Yeah, I was. I was just watching Tyler Johnson get up after it. A floater from Brady, dude. This guy jumped like 5 feet in the air. So he's not dead yet. Tyler Johnson's not a bust just quite yet. But talk about a stacked wide receiver depth chart. Dude, I'm so freaking excited. But you sent me a really concerning text last night.
What?
You're going to sell your honey badger collection?
Not all of it. Not all of it.
Okay.
But it's funny. Like, I went last night and I was thinking about this, right? So Bill Russell died, right? I know you saw that.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
And, I think because he won so much that everybody understands, like, he's one of the 10 best NBA players of all time, right? But, you don't, like, as far as like Bill Russell as a player, he was more known for defense than offense. Now his cards are, definitely up there, but it's still crazy to me that, like, in the NBA, guys like Ben Wallace, guys like Dennis Rodman, these guys are like 2 of the best defensive rebounders. And that was Bill Russell, right? He was not, he was a scorer, but he was the best defender rebound combination ever, arguably. And, Ben Wallace and Dennis Rodman were the modern era of that. Now, their cards aren't cheap. I know this is NBA, but still, they're known for their defense, right? They were the 2 best defensive stoppers. Ron Artest was another one of those guys. And I've just come to the realization that, look, my Tyrann Matthew collection has nothing to do with how much it's worth, because I'm just a fan of them, right? But in American sports, all we care about, and just sports in general, is people that score, offense. That's all we care about. Number one complaint in soccer and hockey is what?
Number one player? Is that what you said?
No complaint.
Oh, number one complaint. Oh, is that some games end like 0-0?
Not enough scoring.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that doesn't mean that those games are good. I'm wearing my soccer hat right now, LFC. Some of the best games are 0-0, right? It could be an attacking game, exciting game, but people like to score. People
drug down in the mud, and they'll call that a snooze fest or something, like a snoozer, because it's not a shootout,
Right. People like scoring. And it's funny.
Can you blame them? Can you blame them? Who don't like to score?
I can blame them, right? Because sports are more nuanced than that, right? There's so, especially in football, there's so many great defensive players. And let's pull up. I was looking at this yesterday. I want you to give it your best guess what Ed Reed's rookie ticket autos are going for.
Ed Reed, man, probably pretty cheap. I know he's like one of the best. He's a Hall of Famer. The Ravens, he's one of the best ever. So, but they're probably pretty cheap.
Pull it up.
All right.
He is. I won't just say he's one of the best. He is the consensus best modern era safety. I know there's going to be the Troy Polamalu, Brian Dawkins. There's a lot of people you can argue, but he's the best. Like, there's one player Bill Belichick fawns over, and it's not even Tom Brady. It's Ed Reed. Get Bill Belichick talking about Ed Reed. And Bill Belichick's a defensive guy, so he's always going to have a bias towards defensive players. But Ed Reed didn't even play for him. And that is the only time where you see Bill Belichick go off. Just look at that.
There's a 2002 SP Authentic rookie auto at 1150. Let me see if I can find an actual Contenders rookie ticket auto. Well, here's one for PSA 8 numbered out of 550 for 500 with 17 watchers.
Look at how great of a card that is.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. Let's see if I narrow down my search here. Yeah, it's rare. I have to look under sold transactions, see if we can find one. I'm sure we can find one. Okay.
241. Are you kidding?
There we go. 241, 299. Well, so that's solid. That's good, but you're right. It's not obviously at any even close to any type of quarterback level or anything.
And that's the thing, right? I would say Ed Reed is the consensus best safety of the modern era. I think if you polled the 100 brightest defensive football minds and they say list the 3 best safeties of the past 20 years, 99 out of 100 are going to pick Ed Reed. And the one guy who doesn't is just a Ravens hater, right? So it's insane. It's absolutely insane. I know I'm not sharing like breaking news or whatever, but Tyrann Mathieu's in that upper echelon discussion. But even then, I don't know if Tyrann would be. He was all decades team as a safety, but post 2000, there's probably a lot of people that are still ahead of him, right? Like John Lynch is definitely ahead of him. Troy Polamalu, Ed Reed, both of them definitely ahead of him. And then after that, it gets into different players, right? I know this guy wasn't post 2000, but there's a lot of people that think Leroy Butler is like just very, very, very underrated. Now, once again, this isn't about me not liking Tyrann, but this comes down to what I'm doing with potentially my Joe Burrow cards. And this isn't going to actually work because Joe is going to be too good. But the truth here is, and I lost out on that gold top right hot rookies. You knew how bad I wanted that card.
Yeah, PSA 10 too, man. Wow.
Yeah, no, that's as good. That's almost as good as it gets. I should have just splurged and got it, but
Wasn't your max bid like 181 too or something?
I was 189. I was
Oh
whatever.
no, man, that's brutal.
But that person's top bid, he might have put a top bid in and went to bed. His top bid might have been like 3 something. You don't know.
Yeah,
So,
he would just wanted to get it regardless.
right. Like his top bid could have been 1,000 because and I've always been haunted by the gold out of 10, Tyrann Mathieu. So for me, I'll probably move some of my stuff. Now that we have the Saints hype, I don't believe it's a big deal that he's missing training camp due to a personal matter or whatever. He's going to play. But for me, if I move it now, I could buy it back later for cheap, right?
I agree.
And I also looked at Troy Polamalu. That black one obviously was the one I bought.
Yeah, I was getting ready to pull that one up.
But I was looking at Troy Polamalu recently, and it's interesting. I've seen a few that top right corner gold refractor does go for quite a bit.
There it is.
It could just be, and you see, look at that. It's obviously really good. So it could just be that Ed Reed just doesn't have a lot of cards. That obviously always plays in. You don't have many gold out of 10 like Ed Reed kind of cards. So that's part of it. Why his cards probably aren't a whole lot. But once again, it is still insane to me. Even someone that does score, like a Adrian Peterson, LaDainian Tomlinson, you could still build one of the best LaDainian Tomlinson collections out there for relatively cheap for how good of a player he was. I follow a guy named Barry Bright, or that's his name on Instagram, and that guy has just an insane LaDainian Tomlinson collection. And yeah, it's insane. 88 rookie cards. Okay.
Only 88 different rookie cards for Ed Reed.
It's insane.
That's incredibly low. So I'd feel good about investing in even his base cards. I mean, that's super low. I heard AAP was at the National signing autographs.
Who?
Adrian Peterson was.
Nice. That's all.
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson, Barry Sanders. I saw Joe Montana there as well.
Yeah. Dan Marino was there. Adrian Peterson was the cheapest. Him and Barry Sanders were the cheapest guys to get autographs. They were like charging under 200, but Montana, Mayweather, Dan Marino, they had some other pretty impressive Hall of Famers there. They were all like 250 for autographs.
Definitely worth it though.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's if you're fans of those guys, you don't know if you're ever going to see them again, right? Now you could stalk them and try and find them like it's a restaurant and see if we can get it for free, but it's not worth it. We did that once. We did it for Mariano Rivera, and my dad and I have photos with him, and he has an autographed inscription photo. And that's one of my heroes. That was one of my two big sports heroes growing up. But I'm not a baseball guy anymore. But yeah, and I know a lot of people will say, "Well, you're paying that much just to meet that person." Well, yeah, if that person means a lot to you, and you're telling me you can shake their hand in the flesh and get an auto in like a decent setting and spend like a minute with them, yeah, I mean, spend your money. I mean, if I'm 2K in on a trip, make that trip worth it. There were so many people at this or on this trip that said the highlight of them was meeting Joe Montana or meeting so-and-so, because there are so many people complaining about like the actual National not being fun.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a lot of people complaining about, I mean, I'm sure you saw this. We had a few people in our Discord go to it. This hobby is run on the internet, and to not have consistent Wi-Fi at that event is a non-negotiable for a lot of people in their business, right? Uh, the truth is, like, the National, I love the National. I've been 3 times when I was younger. I love it. It really is the best, and people are always going to go. And they have a rabid fan base, but you, you got to make sure you have Wi-Fi. You've
Yeah.
got to. Um,
That's
but,
that's a must-have. Like, come on, guys. You know.
but you know more about like internet and stuff like that. What? How hard is it to 1,000% make sure that a network can hold that much connection?
Well, they could have had a bottleneck at a variety of locations, right? Because you have these wireless access points that are going to be needed to be mounted throughout the auditorium or the conference room floor, the showroom floor, to make sure that everybody's in range of an access point, and then those go back to a main router that's connected to the modem, and that's got to be beefy for thousands of people. You're going to need a large business connection, like a T2 or T3 connection, where you're getting fiber connection directly to the telecom provider. Going to need a lot of upload download speed. So there's a couple potential bottlenecks. Obviously, they didn't have it covered from one of those aspects.
Are we definitely going next year?
Yeah, man, we're going. I don't know where it's going to be. I would imagine, like, I don't know where you think, but I'm guessing that places like, they haven't had it in Florida yet. Some place like Orlando. Orlando's massive for massive conventions and things like, and trade shows. So is Tampa. So I think those are possible destinations. They also, I don't think they've had it in Vegas yet either, have they?
It's going to be in Chicago.
It's going to be in Chicago. Well, it was just in Chicago last year.
Yeah, it's just going back to Chicago.
Just going back to Chicago. Well, they have good Wi-Fi. I'm excited to go to Chicago. I like Chicago.
It's good Wi-Fi. It's centrally located. It's a top 10 market. I'm fine. I'm fine with that. Like, I do, however, think Vegas would be perfect for this. Nashville would be very good for something like that. Centrally located cities with good airports, lots of stuff to do. But at the same time, as much as people crapped on Atlantic City, part of the reason why I didn't go is that I really don't, and I'm not saying this to crap on Atlantic City. I just have no desire to go to that city. Like, I've never just wanted to go. So if I'm spending money to go on a trip, even though everything I'm going to be doing is cards 24/7, 365 while I'm there, I do kind of want to go to a city that I like. Like, if my fiance comes with me, she's not going to want to go to Atlantic City, but you would love to go to Chicago. She would love to go to Vegas. She'd love to go to all these other locations. But yeah, it's crazy. I've watched a good number of vlogs. If you're there, you're going to have a good time. But everyone was talking about the sticker prices and all of that, and how high the sticker prices actually were. Yeah, the National, there's going to be the most cards there, the most connections there. Everybody goes there, and you meet your network. But what I think the National is going to be is that because there's so many card shows around the country, those card shows are more about the cards, right? Deals, business. Whereas I feel like the National, while all of that is still going to happen, I think if you polled most of the people that go to the National every year, they say the more important thing for them is seeing other people in the hobby, right? I haven't met you. You and I have never been in the, I don't think you and I, since we've known each other, have ever really even been in the same area code, really, or in the same time zone. And the funny thing about that is Rob and Emil, they do a podcast. I was listening to one of them. They had never met each other before until the National this past year. So the social aspect of the National, because everybody is there, the people, is more important than, to a lot of people, than the actual cards themselves, because I'm sure it's expensive to set up a booth. It's obviously expensive to go there. The most people are going to be there, so it's tough to get a hotel. Whereas if you go to just a regular card show, like the Dallas card show, just any card show, really, Chantilly or whatever, it becomes more about business and deals and the cards. It's probably not as expensive to go there. So, yeah, it's very interesting. But yeah, you know what's interesting? I was thinking about this with the so it kind of ties into like the Ed Reed thing, right? With the 2021 rookie class. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This class could be the ultimate QBs versus everybody class. Okay.
Probably, yeah.
All right. So this is what makes 2021 very interesting. Okay. In the 2020 rookie class, the three best players in that class up to this point is Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Justin Jefferson, right? I'd have to go back and look at everyone else, but those have been the three best players in that
Can't
class.
forget about Jonathan Taylor, man. You got to maybe go top 4.
Jonathan Taylor as well. Okay.
And then if you go top 4, you got to throw in T. Higgins. I mean, right?
True. T. Higgins. So you would say those are, the five. Okay. T. Higgins.
We'll go top 5. We'll go top 5.
Top 5. Okay. Now, what's very interesting about 2021, okay, and I watched this video. Well, I didn't get to watch it. Someone sent me this video, and I've heard this from a few other people, why it's a good idea to buy 2021 wax. And I initially wasn't going to, but there's something about that that's not baked into the price of the 2021 wax box. Okay. So for me, there's 6 quarterbacks, and obviously, one of the hottest names at the National was Trey Lance, right? Everything is Trey Lance this, Trey Lance that. You've seen it. Trey Lance is one of the most popular, what's his name, Messiah in the Discord.
Yeah, he's a huge Trey Lance truther.
Huge, right? What's very interesting is he's not really played. But what do we know about the 2021 rookie class? Well, is that we don't know if any of the quarterbacks are any good, right? I think when 2020 was out, it was pretty evident that Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert could play. Like they were playing really, really, really well as rookies.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't just, you could just see it, right? You can look at them, you could see it. You could tell that those guys were studs. Now, let me ask you this, Andy. During the 2021 season, did you feel that any of the 6 quarterbacks were in that tier? Whereas you watched them immediately, you thought that they were for sure, surefire, great players.
No, I mean, I saw flashes or like, okay, yeah, this guy looks like he could be decent. This guy's got the upside, but nothing as consistent or as like prominent, as clear cut evidence as Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert's rookie season,
Right. So, obviously, some of those quarterbacks are going to be good, but there is a case that none of them be really all that good. There's a possibility. But what is very interesting is when you look at that rookie class, you might have just seen in the same rookie class the best wide receiver prospect of all time. Okay. Now, I'm a huge Jamar Chase fan, so I'm seriously super biased towards this. Okay. So you had the greatest wide receiver of all time. You also have the greatest tight end of all time in Kyle Pitts, right? People are saying that. Had one of the best rookie seasons. We all know rookie tight ends are never that good.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be hard for
rookie wide receivers are typically not ever that good. I think Jamar Chase, his rookie season was historic.
First team All Pro over Justin Jefferson. I I don't know if I fully agreed with that decision, but obviously, Chase Jefferson, they're both two of my favorites. So what's interesting as well, so greatest wide receiver of all time, greatest tight end of all time, and are we witnessing, Andy, the best defensive player we've seen, maybe since Aaron Donald, in Micah Parsons?
Micah Parsons. Oh, man, that guy is electric. Electric.
Micah Parsons, in his rookie season, when he was never really just exclusively a pass rusher, and he's not for Dallas either, but Micah Parsons is the best young defensive player I think I've ever seen. I think that was the best rookie defensive season I've ever seen. Now his prices are high already for a defensive guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are. They've actually, like, his rookie ticket autos, because I try and get it, even just like the base rookie ticket auto is like a $60 to $70 card, just base. I mean, that's, you to like equivalent that almost to the price of a Jalen Waddle type of price range there. Jalen Waddle's a little bit more expensive at about $100 for his base rookie ticket auto, but he's basically right under that. Devontae Smith is about in that same range. So his rookie ticket autos are about the same as Devontae Smith's, maybe a little bit higher.
So here's what's interesting about that is if you buy a box of that, and let's just say for some reason, it's impossible to guess this. This might not ever happen. This is something that we begged on this channel for a long time. What if wide receiver and other position card markets actually do get hot? And maybe, just maybe, everybody says, I should stop buying Ian Book cards and actually buy cards of great players. Okay? It's amazing how much I've seen Ian Book on vlogs. When he was, that was as bad of a performance.
Yeah, people forgot about that Monday Night Meltdown. That was just...
Now, I would say his pass protection just disintegrated, but still, he's not good. But see, people still buy Ian Book cards for a lot of money. Kellen Mond cards are still going for a lot. Kyle Trask cards are still going for a lot. Jordan Love cards, maybe not quite as hot as they once were, but still. Maybe, just maybe, there is, and not necessarily a shift, but maybe there are more people that are interested in saying, look, why is everything so quarterback focused? And it goes back to what I said earlier, right? It's all about people that score. Okay. But in football, it's only about the quarterbacks who score. It's not about the wide receivers. It's not about the running backs. It's not about the tight ends, even though there have been plenty of legendary players in that aspect. It's just nuts to me. And what if defensive players actually do become a thing? Well, guess what? If defensive players become a thing, wide receivers become a thing, tight ends become a thing, people are going to want to buy 2021 wax, especially if some of those quarterbacks are decent, right? It gives you a higher floor. And for me, that's not quite baked in yet. When someone says, hey, I'm going to buy a 2021 hobby box of Prism. Well, what's the first person that you talk to in the card market? Or what's the first thing they're going to say? Well, you have 6 shots, right, for the 6 quarterbacks. They don't say, some people do, but they don't say, hey, you could get the best defensive prospect ever. I mean, Micah Parsons' rookie season was that good. It was that freaking good. So we'll see.
And I think that there is. I think there is a lot of people out there. I say a lot. I guess we make some of these generalized statements like there's not in comparison to the amount of QB only collectors and investors. It's only a few, right? I think I just, like, hypothetically speaking, if there were 100,000 people that collected football cards, probably 60% of them, or maybe 70% of them, are QB focused, totally QB dedicated. And that's really it, because they're dabbling in basketball and baseball and soccer and maybe non-sports cards as well.
Yeah.
But they're like their football. When they go to football, it's QBs only. However, there's like still 30% probably, there's definitely thousands of people out there that are into these skill position players like we are, defensive players, the whole 9 yards. It's really any good player, but it's not, you're right. It's still a large percentage of football fans out there that really just gravitate towards the quarterbacks. And, you combine that with the amount of variety that these guys have. It's not like Micah Parsons and Jamar Chase and our other favorite skill position guys have just a few cards to pick from like they did in the 80s. They've still got thousands now today. Like these guys that were drafted in the first 3 rounds are getting a couple thousand at least different rookie cards from across 54 different sets manufactured. So there's a lot of variation out there as well, which creates a lot of nuance, but there's little value pockets here and there. Like we saw that press proof premium for Micah Parsons PSA 10 still going for 150, kind of thing.
It's nuts. It's nuts. But I think about that because I feel like those 3 guys in particular, Pitts, Chase, and Parsons, are way better football players. And it's early to say this, but they are way better at what they do than any of the 6 quarterbacks at what they do. And we might be proven wrong. I mean, we only have a 1-year sample. But yeah, I totally agree with you with that statement. 70% is just QB only. And it's just the truth, right? I see QB only threads. Don't post a different player unless it's a quarterback. And you're not a basic person. I'm not a basic person. Football's more nuanced in that. And some of that is that quarterbacks have a longer life expectancy in the NFL. Some of that also is point spreads don't shift except with the quarterbacks. They have such a huge impact on the game. But that's part of the reason why I'm thinking about, moving some of my tyrants, because if Ed Reed's prices are that, and once again, Ed Reed only has 88 rookie cards, then it wouldn't make sense. Like, I'm always going to collect Tyrann Mathieu. I could come back and get some of those cards down the road later. So I'm just going to trim it down a little bit, make some money on, this preseason hype going into his first game as a Saint. There's going to be so much surrounding that. Tyrann's connection to New Orleans is very well known. So yeah, I'm going to capitalize on this hype. Kind of like I did last year with selling my big Burrows going into the Super Bowl. And yeah, should be very interesting.
Woo, people are hot on 2021 Optic this year. Look at that.
That'll cool down. That'll go down to.
Yeah, very few listings, very limited listings. But I think that even 2021 base donruss, I mean, that's crazy, bro. The base donruss holiday blaster box is $49.99. Wow. Wow. What's the Prism at? Because I think Prism got some hate after this season because of the off centering and the lack of hits. Look at that, man. The Prism is the same price as the base donruss.
So that lets you know it's going to go down. 50 is a steal right there if you just keep it in the wax. I didn't think so at first, but yeah, I think it's.
Yeah, I think you're right, because let's look at what 2020 has gone up to now, and it's probably like 100. Yeah, 112, 115. That was yesterday.
It's unreal. I'm telling you that's going to be an iconic set of cards. All right, you obviously Burrow, obviously Herbert, obviously Jefferson, Jalen Hurts if the Eagles do something, and something that you brought up plenty of times, Brady in a Bucs uniform.
Oh yeah, Brady. Yeah, don't forget Tua now. We don't want to get a bunch of haters in the comments.
I'm already used to it by now. Bring him on. He can't play. Bring him on. He can't play. So
he's been hooking up. The training camp footage is looking spicy, man. The training camp footage is getting people excited about the Dolphins.
Just give me a glass of molten rock out of a volcano, and I'll drink that before you believe or talk me into Tua being an elite quarterback. I saw a guy, he's a hobby account I like to follow. His name's TJ Collector, and he did like a list of his top 32 quarterbacks. Make your own list, do whatever you want. But he had Tua ranked number 5, the 5th best quarterback going into this year. And he had Burrow number 9. And I was like, oh, wow. I see there, man. Still bitter about the 2019 game. I don't know if that guy's a Bama fan or not, but man, that's the Tua hype. Even the Tua non-believers out there, it's gone too far.